Hello and welcome to yet another vlog, and this is the final vlog from our huge theme park trip, and this is Chessington World of Adventures Resort, and this is a family park located in Greater London, and like I say is the final of these parks in the London area. There's a few different coasters to get on, a couple of dart rides, and a lot more brand new attractions for me to get on in the final park. And heading straight down to the back of the park to experience a coaster, the first coaster of this trip. And this is Rattlesnake, the Marathon Wild Mouse. And it's quite a fun mouse, quite intense for a family coaster, very compact, obviously with the sort of Mexican theme. Very whippy turns. You really sort of get pushed into the side of the seat on different corners on there. There's quite a few of like sharp turns because it is a wild mouse. There's a helix on there as well. Quite a few good ejector airtime moments, very sort of snappy airtime hills. There's a couple of decent sized drops on there as well. A fantastic ride to start the day as well, and I really enjoyed it. So the layout is sort of starting off with that wild mouse, whippy turns, getting pushed into the side of the seat, then going down into a helix, up into a turn, down into the main first drop really, and again the drops are pretty good on this. Very sharp transitions with everything, and then down over one of these airtime hills, again very whippy, snappy, with some good ejector on there, and then coming round into the final drop. And what wild mouse coasters, they obviously have the whippy turns, the sharp transitions, and the good ejector on the airtime hills, and obviously there's minimal banking or no banking on this one. There's no banking on any of the turns, so it means that you really get a lot of lateral G-force, and that's what wild mouse coasters are all about. And overall very well themed, and a very snappy experience filled with a lot of airtime, and quite a bit of force as well. And then finally for Rattlesnake, here is my first on-ride photo of the day from this wild mouse coaster. And then heading into Forbidden Kingdom to enter the Sacred Tomb Blaster. And this is the park's interactive dark ride, the Mac interactive dark ride, and I was very impressed by this. The theming is incredible, it's highly immersive, and I was just so impressed. I wasn't expecting it, but I'd actually go as far as saying it's the best interactive shooter in the UK. It's a brilliant ride. The facade is actually the entrance to the temple. You've got these sort of limestone brick walls, and also you've got statues of Anubis on each side of the entrance. And the whole building has that limestone brick look to it at the facade of the temple, and also the queue. It goes on like bridges around the outside, so there's a bridge just above the entrance, and it goes all the way around and then into the actual tomb for Tomb Blaster. What a ride! I was so impressed with this fantastic interactive dark ride. Quite a few targets in there to shoot. Really fun. Obviously, I do like the interactive element. I think on this it works really well, because obviously you've got quite a few mummies in there to shoot. But there's some really large scenes in there. With the huge Anubis that you can shoot, the snake, the large snake, the cobra. You've got a mummy. There's a scene where the mummy spins round and you can shoot that. There's also this sort of wheel with like spikes on it that spins round like a trap in the temple. And what I love about it, the actual cars have the ability to spin round. So all of these sort of really large scenes in there, the cars actually spin round and stop. So you really get to shoot everything and get a good go at the shooting. Which just makes it a more fun, really. It's a very long ride, so much in there. It's quite scary. There's a few good jump scares in there with the mummies. Quite near the end of the ride, there's a corridor with like mummies in there. The sort of like a jump scare with the light comes on, which is quite good. There's also just there's a lot to look at all throughout the ride, and I think that's what I was so impressed with, is the amount that's actually in there. The really large scenes I was very impressed with, with the Anubis and the Cobra. Very highly impressed, because you're just looking up at these huge theming pieces, just like shooting them. Great animatronics as well. They're just there, they're so huge just to look up to, and that's what I love about Tomb Blaster, and that's why it goes down as one of my favourite dark rides in the UK. Definitely my favourite interactive shooter. I just love it. The Egyptian theming with all the mummies, as well, all the traps in the temple, as well, and the huge theming pieces. That's what makes it so impressive, and the fact it's a decent length ride as well, with so much to look at on there, really makes for a fantastic experience overall. And then finally for Tomb Blaster, here is another on-ride photo, and My score on here was 24,200, which is pretty decent on the on-ride photo for Toon Blaster. And then heading into Wild Woods to experience the rides there, and starting off with another dark ride, and this is the other dark ride in the park, the Gruffalo River Ride Adventure. Very good ride. I was actually, again, quite impressed with this, being based on the children's book, The Gruffalo. Having that IP, it draws people into the park, and is really well themed. Obviously this is the boat ride, and it is really fun. So you've got quite a few different scenes inside. The station area where you get on the ride is fantastically themed. There's all sort of like leaves on the ceiling. You've got Gruffalo just next to the entrance, and it does feel like you're actually in the woods, and it is a really well themed ride, and that is something that I absolutely love about this. There's so much physical theming, and so many like actual set pieces in there, so much to actually look at that's like physical theming. And obviously the first scene is it's got all these sort of dandelions, like these huge dandelions in the first scene, and then you get the owl. There's quite a few large scenes like with the owl. There's like this huge tree with the owl on it. Then you see the fox and the snake. There's a little bit of screen based stuff, like the snake is one of those scenes, but most of it is physical theming. And obviously there's different parts of the Gruffalo that are introduced. So obviously the mouse is going to have lunch with a Gruffalo, and of course there's no such thing as a Gruffalo, or is there? So yeah, it's obviously the children's story that is quite well known, and it does fit in well with the family orientated theme of the park, and is a great family dark ride. But then after seeing all of the different animals, then you get introduced to the Gruffalo. There's no such thing as a Gruffalo, and then the Gruffalo, it's a huge theming piece, and then he's holding the mouse by his tail, and then there's the lift hill. So as you go up the lift hill, you do get there's another screen based scene with the Gruffalo sort of chasing the mouse through the woods, and then as you get to the top of the lift hill, just before you go down the drop, there is a small drop on it. You see the Gruffalo peeking through some of the trees just before you go down the drop, and then through the iconic fountain scenes. All of the fountains. You've got this huge tree in the middle with the iconic fountains. There's quite a bit of theming. There's trees. There's like bushes. There's like logs, and of course you head round through the fountains, even getting a little bit of a light sprinkle on there. I mean, the drop, I was surprised by the drop. I got a bit wet on there, but the getting a bit of a light sprinkle through the fountains, the iconic fountains really, and then the last scene, the mouse finds a nut, and the nut was good, and that is the end of the ride and the story. And it is a great family attraction overall. It really does fit in with the Wild Woods theme as well, with it being set in the woods, and I really like it. I do really enjoy it, and even getting quite well on the drop, I was genuinely surprised. But really well themed, so much physical theming, and so much to look at whilst experiencing this boat ride. And then finally, for the Gruffalo River Ride adventure, here is my on-ride photo from this family dark ride. And then heading to the next attraction, and this is another roller coaster at the resort, and this is Vampire. Sit back, hold tight, the vampire is taking flight. What a coaster! I was extremely impressed by this coaster. The sort of theme of it, I love the station theming. So much like Dracula's castle with Dracula there playing the pipe organ to the soundtrack, and the actual all that like candles around there. The flame torches, all the chandeliers. It's just such a well-themed station. In the queue there's the odd bits of theming. You've got a sort of chessboard and a few gravestones. There's a hand coming out the ground, but really it's the station theming that really makes it for me as well. But the actual ride experience, so obviously coming out of that fantastically themed station, it's sort of through the trees. There's a lot of through the trees elements. Obviously with it being a aerodynamics suspended coaster, you do swing out on there. So when you go around some sharp turns, you really do swing out. And there's one area, because obviously there's quite a few sharp transitions, and there's elements of it I didn't expect to feel the actual swinging out as much as you do. And on a sharp transition on one of these coasters, you really do get whipped. And there was one point when I really came out my seat, like coming around quite a sharp turn and swinging from one side to the next. Really coming out my seat on there. Really good coaster, with a decent bit of force. Obviously there's quite a few helixes. It does build up speed pretty quick. There's a good near miss where you go through the tunnel as well. Again, it's all through the trees, so near misses with the trees is always going to happen. But again, it's like the swinging out. It's such a good sensation, because again, like as you swing out, it can get a little bit rough as well, but I think it's the kind of rough ride that sort of adds to it in a way. It's more in a fun way, because like when you go around some of the turns, it's just builds up speed pretty quick, and as it does hit jolts a bit, and yeah, fantastic family coaster. I'm really impressed by it, and I think probably I do like the fact there's quite a few helixes on there, and as you bank out and as you pick up speed, this train does really swing out quite a bit as well. There's quite a few moments of interaction in the queue as well with it. And also you've got that section sort of in the middle of the area where you swing over in the area, so you sort of swing out after the second lift hill, because it is quite a long ride. It does have 2 lift hills, and as you come in at the second lift hill, you go over the rest of the area, and there's sort of an S-bend, so you swing both ways and you go through, and then back down into the forest and the woods. And I really do like this coaster. I really do. Like, just it's all those really sharp turns that just really adds to it, and just being quite rough, but in a good way, with those really sharp transitions, really snappy and whippy as well, and then getting quite a long ride with the two lift hills as well. And I really do like it with the theming as well, with Dracula's castle, with the actual animatronic Dracula inside there as well. Another theming. It is just a fantastic family coaster. And then finally for Vampire, here is my on-ride photo from this incredible suspended roller coaster.